Happy Wednesday, ladies. How are you today? Danielle Cotis here, your personal new mom coach. I help expectant new moms and toddler moms transition into motherhood. I help them deal with all the different changes that they go through and the emotional roller coaster that they're on, and help them to survive and thrive and be successful at motherhood and actually enjoy it. So today we're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is whether or not you are, hey guys, an angry mom, and how to fix it if you are, and how to be willing to make a change. So the reason I bring this up today is because something happened today, and also because I did listen to a podcast the other day. If you're not savvy with podcasts for moms and stuff like that, one of the great ones that I listen to is the Mindful Mom podcast, and it's by this girl, Hunter Clark Fields, and she's an awesome mom coach as well. And she had the author of many books on there. His name is Dr. Siegel, and he's a therapist and a psychologist, I think. And he spoke a little bit about what he experienced and why he wrote these books. And as I listened to the podcast, I definitely resonated with what he was saying, and have experienced similar things. So what he talked about was that there was this one time he was home by himself, watching his infant, and as many of us can relate, his infant was crying and screaming, and it was a lot of days of not sleeping, and he got to the point where he went into the crib and picked up his infant and went to shake the infant, was yelling, was like, shut the fuck up, I can't take it anymore. So as he went to shake the infant, which according to him he did not, he just put the infant down and said, oh my God, what am I doing? And just walked out of the room and had to give him a timeout. Now, since he is savvy in this, he went to school for all these things and dealing with emotions and helping other people deal with his emotions. He even got to a point where he was so aggravated and so angry and so resentful towards his child at that point that he got to the point where he went to pick up the kid and shake the shit out of them, right? And that's a scary feeling. And I know that a lot of moms go through that or have actually shaked their baby before. And so as he was talking, it definitely resonated with me with a lot of the yelling that he was talking about, and how, when your baby doesn't stop crying, or you haven't slept, or you've already been aggravated, you're trying to put them to sleep and they just keep waking up and they're not doing it, and you lose your mind and you start screaming, you're yelling all this crazy stuff to a baby that doesn't talk back. And again, it's a baby, it's not an adult, and you're screaming at the baby as if it is an adult. And, I cried a little bit in the car as I listened to this podcast, and, hey honey, I cried a little bit as I listened to the podcast, and I was, in shock and kind of thankful that I heard that, other people have experienced this. And as I sat there and listened to this, I thought back on all the things that have happened over the past 2.5 years since my son is born, and how much I've grown and how much I've changed my mindset and the way that I am as a person since he's been here, and how proud of myself that I am. But all of that stems from way back when I had similar experiences to what Dr. Siegel is talking about, where, you run into the room and you're ready to, do something that you would never do because you're so sleep deprived, or you're so angry, or you just can't keep a hold on that. And then being willing to notice that you are doing these things and all of this anger is coming up, and then be willing to make that change. So what I didn't know was that prior to having my son, that I had some sort of anger problem. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that I was kind of short-tempered and, quick to say something back and defend myself. But what I didn't know was that it stemmed way deeper than that. And that I probably should have taken the initiative before I gave birth, as I was pregnant, or even before, to work on that anger problem that I had. Mind you, I didn't know that was something that I had. But once you have a baby and you're pushed to those limits where your patience is tested, that again, you're sleep deprived, everything that you thought you knew is now thrown out the window. And when you're pushed and you're pushed and you're pushed and you're pushed some more, chances are you're going to bring yourself all the way to the ledge, and then you're just going to jump right off because you're just being pushed. And that's what babies and children do, is that they push us, they test us, and they show us what's wrong with ourselves. They show us that we have some flaws and that we need to fix them. And that's part of their job when they come to this earth, when God sends them to us. Part of their job is to teach us to be better versions of ourselves. And there's another book by a woman, Dr. Shafali. It's called The Conscious Parent. So if you haven't read it, please do. I will do a review on it. But part of what children do is it's almost transcendental, where they are teaching you how to be the best versions of yourself so that you can role model yourself for your children, so that they can learn to be the best versions of themselves, and that they can be that person that they need as a child and a young adult and adult even after. So where I'm going with this is that if you resonate with anything I just said about Dr. Siegel and his experience when he ran into the room with his infant and he's screaming his head off, I don't want you to feel so terrible about yourself. I just want you to notice that you probably have an issue and that it needs to be fixed. I don't want you to go around feeling guilty about it. I want you to forgive yourself for whatever it is that's causing all these experiences that you have. Again, the anger stems from a lot of things that happen in your childhood and even in adulthood. So keep in mind that these things can change, that you can change your subconscious, and that you're able to get to a point where you can actually rewrite what's inside your brain. So if your subconscious is written that you're an angry person, that you're short-tempered, and that you're quick to yell, or that you want to hit somebody, or you want to punch the wall, or things like that, that can be rewritten so that you can actually be less angry, more in control of your emotions, more positive, and you learn these coping skills. So part of what I do as a new mom coach is that when I help expectant mothers, I teach them how to deal with anger issues and deal with stressful situations, and learning how to cope with all these situations that come up as new moms. There's so many of them that I could go on for hours naming all of the situations that we experience. So I teach them. And then once you've given birth and you're a new mom or even a toddler mom, what I do is help you learn, again, how to get out of that negative thinking and that anger thinking and move forward. And again, nobody is perfect. So you're not going to go from, being this crazy angry lady like I was to being this totally zen person overnight. It is a constant work in progress, and it's something that I'm constantly working on, and I'm getting better at every day. But the reason I'm doing it today is because I had a little bit of that flashback today. This morning, my son wouldn't eat anything. We were trying to leave the house. He wouldn't put his clothes on. He was cranky for whatever reason, rolling around on the floor, whining, giving me all kinds of problems. Then he wouldn't go down for a nap. And then, it was in and out of the crib, going back down. So that anger was building. And so, what I have to do is catch myself. And that's really what it's about, is just becoming aware that you are quick to run that temper, quick to express those emotions in ways that you wouldn't do if you were not under a stressful circumstance. So some tips on how to fix it if you are finding yourself as an angry mom or yelling a lot. So things that you should notice: if you're yelling a lot, you go to hit or you go to shake a baby or a kid, or you throw things when you're mad, if you're fighting with your spouse or something like that. That's another big thing. Or you're short-tempered, like I was saying, like things that don't normally bother other people bother you, and you're quick to, lose your cool. So that's 3 different ways that you can test if you are somewhat of an angry parent. And then how to fix it. So the most important thing is becoming aware that you have this problem and that you can fix it, and it's totally fixable. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just something that was programmed into your subconscious as a child and even as an adult. So we just want to rewrite that as much as possible. And the first way that you can start doing that is by meditating. There's a lot of apps out there now that will really help you with meditation and teach you how to meditate. You only need about 3 minutes a day or even less to kind of become aware of your thoughts and learning how to breathe and to calm down. So some of them, my favorite ones are Expectful. I talked about last week is the Expectful app. And then you have Calm, and I forgot the other one again. So there's a couple of them. You can just look them up on the App Store and they'll show up for you and they'll teach you how to meditate. It doesn't take much time, but it will help you to get to a point where you can become aware of that breathing techniques and aware of your thoughts and learning how to calm them down and become aware of when you're about to explode. Another thing that you can do to calm yourself, like almost immediately, if you're about to lose your shit, is just to leave, just to get out of the room or get out of the house and just shut the door and just take a couple deep breaths. That's probably the easiest, simplest way that you can, die down your anger a little bit as fast as humanly possible. The third one is notice your triggers. There's specific triggers that happen that cause people to lose their temper. And I'll give you an example for me. If I don't get enough sleep and not adequate sleep, I am very quick to lose my temper. So I have to be aware of the fact that either if I have slept or I didn't sleep. And for this instance that happened today is that I didn't sleep very well last night. Kiri was up all night. And so that could have stemmed from, that sleep deprivation that I had last night causes it to be a little bit more difficult for me in the morning to deal with stressful situations that rise. And if he did sleep, then I would probably be better equipped to deal with those situations. So just be aware that if you are sleep deprived, that is one of those things that you need to be aware of in terms of losing your temper. Also, it could be anything. So for different people, it's different things. Like I think I did another Facebook Live, like when my son used to spill the water and I would freak out. So what I did was stop giving him a water bottle without a top. So there's things that you can do to stop something that could potentially cause an anger issue. Also, when it comes to sleep, normally what I do is what Kira does when I go down for a nap, I just take him out. And then eventually within like 15, 20 minutes, he wears himself out and then he needs to go to take a nap anyway. So instead of me spending an hour trying to put him to sleep, I just take him out of the crib, save my time, my energy, my aggravation, and my time, and just say, you know what, fine, come out. You don't want to take a nap? That's fine, whatever. And then I'll try again in like another 20 minutes. I'll let him run around and then try to put him back in. And then most of the time it works like a charm. And of course today I didn't do that. So when you have all these things that come up that you don't realize that are causing all of this stress, this anxiety, this frustration, this upsetting feeling, they're all preventable. You just have to be aware of what those triggers are for you specifically. The triggers for me are totally different from you, or they might be similar, but just be aware that there are specific triggers and try to prevent them from happening before they do, so that you don't totally lose your complete cool. Another thing that I do is just not say anything at all. That's another thing. So instead of yelling, like screaming my head off, what the heck, blah, 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 whatever, sometimes I'll just shut up. Like I just won't say anything. I'll just keep my mouth shut and just go about my business and do whatever it is I have to do. So for today, instead of, yelling at him, you got to go to sleep, why the hell aren't you sleeping, blah, blah. What I did was just pick him up, not say anything, and just rock him, right? Okay. And just take deep breaths as I did it. And just not saying anything helped me relax. And just the breathing and rocking him helped me relax. So sometimes not saying anything at all helps to calm some people. Other people have to let it out. But I find if I don't let it out completely, I can actually calm myself down a little bit better. Again, it doesn't happen every single time. You're going to make mistakes. It's a constant work in progress. And you just have to be willing to fix it for the next time. So each time that something happens to you and you lose your cool, or you go to hit, or you go to shake, or you do hit, or you do shake, the first thing, or you yell, the first thing you want to do is apologize to the baby or the child. That's the first thing you want to do. Right after you do that, because you know you feel remorse immediately. So if you're screaming your head off and then you stop screaming and then you see the child crying or you feel bad or whatever, the first thing you do is apologize and say, mommy didn't do the right thing. I shouldn't have yelled, or I shouldn't have hit, or I shouldn't have shaked, or whatever it is. You have to admit that what you did was wrong. And then you have to make note of it for the next time so that you do not do the same thing again next time. Because we're learning from our mistakes, right? We're not just continuing doing our mistakes. And so we feel worse and we feel more guilty and more ashamed. No, you want to stop it immediately. So you know for the next time. It's a learning experience. So each time something happens like that, make note of what the trigger was, make note of why you were angry, and apologize for the situation and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Say, I forgive myself for yelling. I was upset about whatever, or I was sleep deprived, or I was not ready for the situation at hand. I didn't have the coping mechanisms. Now I'm going to go and get those things. I'm going to go get the sleep. I'm going to go figure out the coping mechanisms. I'm going to go figure out how to deal with that stressful situation. It's all about learning about yourself and researching different things, finding out how you can approach a situation differently. Like when I talked about when my son hits me, there's ways to prevent him from hitting me, so I don't even have to deal with the confrontation to begin with. So if you learn those things, it'll be easier for you to be less angry. So we talked about, you got to meditate, make sure that you apologize, make sure that you know your triggers and that you're aware of it for the next time. That's the most important thing, is that you're just aware moving forward how you can fix it. Why do we want to not be angry parents? So we want to not be angry parents for the sheer reason that our children will mirror exactly who we are. They will mirror us to a T, without a doubt. Like the sun rises and sunsets, our children become us. So when parents say, oh, my child is so bad, he misbehaves, he's a terrible kid, or the baby cries all the time and it's horrible, they mirror our emotions, they mirror who we are, our characteristics. Every single thing that we do, they learn, they pick up, and then they do it, and they mirror it right back to us. So when you say that your kid is horrible, or he's a nag, or he's annoying, or she's a bully, or she's a bitch, or she's a brat, all of these sayings, they hear exactly what you're saying. And they actually, self-fulfilling prophecies, they become that way. And then a year later, you're pissed that they're that way. And when you're yelling at your husband and now they're yelling at their siblings, or they're yelling at you, or they're fighting, or they're kicking, or they're punching, you have to think about where those things come from. So if you're an angry person, you need to fix it. And you need to start with, the first thing is just becoming aware of that, and then meditating on it, and learning about yourself, and reading some books, and listening to some podcasts, and talking to other moms about what they do, join other forums. Learning about yourself and making yourself a better person will in turn make your child a better person and a more calm person. So the number one reason that you want to fix being an angry mom is so that your child does not exhibit the same characteristics that you have, and does not develop that same subconscious tape playing over that they're an angry kid. And if you keep telling them that they're an angry kid, or they're disrespectful, or any of these negative terms that we use all the time, they're going to start to believe it, and it's going to be this subconscious tape that plays in their head for the rest of their lives. So what you say and what you do right now is going to determine who they are as an adult and how they function as an adult. So that's what you have to work on. So for all you angry mamas out there, I get you, I understand you, I was you, I am no longer you. It is a work in progress, and you will get better at every day. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's just like with the same thing with everything in motherhood. It's a constant work in progress. It's learning and changing and looking at things about yourself that you didn't know you had, or you might be ashamed of or feel guilty of. But changing that and not feeling guilty about it and not feeling ashamed, changing that, making conscious effort to change that subconscious in your brain. It's so very important that you you do this not only for you, but for them, and as your family unit as a whole. I mean, if you become a less angry mom, there's nothing wrong with that. That's an amazing thing. If you can be a less angry person, that's freaking awesome. So there's nothing wrong with trying to change that. And that goes with everything in your life that you're thinking about changing. It can't hurt you. It can't hurt you or your family at all. It can only make it so much better. All right, guys, thank you so much for being on the line with me today. I will see you next week on Wednesday at 1 p.m. and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.